This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here to do a quick shoot-around show so that we can talk about just some Knicks news and politic a little bit about last night's win over the Dallas Mavericks, and also take a look at the young guys, because the young guys, ladies and gentlemen, have been essential in the Knicks' current 3-game winning streak. But let's talk about Mitchell Robinson. We'll start there, and then we'll move forward. All right. According to an article from Hoops Hype by Michael Thibodeau, and I'm going to blow this up so that you can see it. Mitchell Robinson, according to NBA executives, may have a contract value worth $12 to $13 million. Here's what the article says. And this is a podcast with Michael Thibodeau and Steph Bondy from the New York Daily News. Thibodeau says, I've spoke to 5 NBA executives, and I asked them what in their mind is Mitchell Robinson's projected free agency value as of today. According to these executives, his worst-case scenario is the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, but generally, the projected range for him is between $12 to $13 million annually, which would be more than what the Knicks got previously in free agency. Which would be more than what Nerlens Noel got previously in free agency with the Knicks. Most executives think the Knicks, having Robinson's bird rights, don't see him walking for nothing. And Bondy, he says Mitchell Robinson is eligible for an extension. They can sign him and not let him hit free agency, but the extension is capped at 4 years, $55 million. The last that Bondy heard is whatever extension talks took place, they weren't close on anything. Michael Thibodeau returns and says one executive told him that they think the Knicks will re-sign Mitchell Robinson and maybe overpay to do so and keep him as an asset. It'll be tough negotiating given what they gave to Nerlens Noel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this and break this down. $12 to $13 million. First of all, I think that's about the right range for Mitchell Robinson. I don't have a problem with the Knicks paying Mitchell Robinson $12 to $13 million. I know I said before that the highest I would go was 13. I think I would extend it to 12. Okay? I said the highest I would go is 12. I think I would extend it to 13. It could be scary because we know Mitchell Robinson's injury history. Okay? And we know that he's been inconsistent so far. But when you look at what's being paid for centers and other players around the league, and what the salary cap, the salary cap keeps rising and rising and rising. The players keep making more and more and more money. So it's probably worth it to pay Mitchell Robinson between $12 and $13 million. Will the Knicks get him at that price? I don't know. According to this report, some executives think, or at least one executive thinks, that the Knicks could end up overpaying for Mitchell Robinson. That I do not want to do, because if you overpay for Mitchell Robinson, now you're taking a chance that, or you're expecting him to at some point reach that value with his play. And what if he doesn't? If he doesn't reach that value, then you're caught with a bad contract. What does that overpay mean? I guess if overpaying is, 14 million, 15 million, maybe it's not too bad. But if you're talking $20 million, then that might be a bit of a reach. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe Margaret Edwards, you said Mitch is a starter. He deserves $12 to $13 million a year. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think he deserves $12 to $13 million a year. That should be a decent contract for Mitchell Robinson. If Nerlens Noel, and just like the article says, when the Knicks gave Nerlens Noel his $9 million, that kind of set the market for Mitchell Robinson, right? Because Mitchell Robinson, even though he's only averaging 8 and 8, has better numbers than Nerlens Noel. So that sets the market for Mitchell Robinson, and given the fact that Mitchell Robinson is a little bit younger than Nerlens Noel, and he's still kind of raw and has a lot to learn and a ways to go, that seems to be about right for Mitchell Robinson. So we'll see where all of this goes. I hope that the Knicks find a way to keep Mitchell Robinson. I love the way that he's been playing basketball. Okay, he's been rebounding like a dog out there. Offensive rebounds especially. His putbacks, it's been a very long time, and I said this before on one of the post-game live streams. It's been a very long time since I've seen a center, and I definitely don't see it in the NBA right now. A center who grabs offensive rebounds and goes up without anybody even contesting him and just, bomb, brings it home. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of his athleticism. It's because of his size. He put on a little bit more muscle during the offseason. He was slow to begin the season. He lost a little bit of the weight. I don't think he lost the muscle, but he lost a little bit of the weight, which is helping him to be a little bit more mobile when he's out there on the floor. And you can see it in his play. Right? You can see it in his play. So, yeah, listen, I'm all for it. Pay Mitchell Robinson his money, and work with that man to get him where the Knicks want him to be, where the Knicks brass wants him to be. What does that mean for him? The rebounding is there. The putbacks are there. His defense on opposing centers, it's kind of there. On the perimeter, it's kind of there. I think he can do better in pick and roll scenarios. Listen, last night against the Dallas Mavericks, he was guarding Luka out on the perimeter, big block. He's a guy who hasn't been coached much in his early career. Now he's getting some coaching, and he's learning. You heard Tom Thibodeau talk about, he's learning different ways to play defense by using position on the floor. He's learning a lot. He's learning a lot. So I say give Mitchell Robinson his money. You know what I mean? Say give him his money. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Give him his money. I'm looking in the chat. I see some people talking about Cam Reddish. Right? And that Cam Reddish will be done for the season. I hate that, man. I don't like that at all. I really don't. Because Cam Reddish was, he was just getting into the groove, ladies and gentlemen, right? He was just figuring out what Tom Thibodeau expected of him. He was just figuring out how to mesh within the team. And now he's out. But this has been an issue with Cam Reddish since he's been in the league as well. And I know that fall wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything. All he did is make a hustle play. He made a hustle play, and he fell on his shoulder. You know, but it's tough for him. It's tough for him because, you know, he clearly provides something that the Knicks don't have. You know, a long player who can really break down the defense and get in the lane. And he doesn't do it with blazing speed. He's just slick and he's smart and he's smooth, you know, with the way that he's able to break down the defense. So it hurts the Knicks because they lose a bench player that could potentially give you 20 at any time. You know, I believe he can. You know, I think his highest output as a New York Knick was 17. With the Atlanta Hawks, he had games where he dropped 30, 35 points. Wasn't consistent, but he's a young player. He's 21 years old. I feel like that was coming with the Knicks down the stretch of this season. Now, if reports are correct, he'll be done for the season. You know, I really want to see Cam down the stretch of this season. Obviously, he's going to be with the Knicks next year. You know, I don't think the Knicks are going to give him a contract extension. He and R.J. Barrett are both eligible for contract extensions. I don't think Cam is going to get one. R.J. Barrett, yes. Cam Reddish, probably not. But the Knicks do have him under contract for next season. Now he'll get a good training camp with Tom Thibodeau and the rest of the team. Hopefully he has the message that, hey, I got to come in supreme shape. This is what the team and Tom Thibodeau demands. I got to come in supreme shape. And I'm not doubting that he hasn't done that before. I'm just saying he knows what Tom Thibodeau expects. So he better come in supreme shape. You dig? He better come in supreme shape. And I think that he will. And we'll see how much that benefits his basketball game. But, you know, man, I hate to hear it. I hate to see it, you know, because I really want to see the kid play. I think he has a ton of talent. He's very smooth on the floor. I think he was beginning to fit in well, make his presence known. His long arms, because he's so long. We don't have, I know Obi is 6'8", 6'9", or whatever, but I still don't think he has the same arm length as Cam Reddish. His arm length allows you to do so much on defense with the guy. And I know Tom Thibodeau doesn't play zone much, but if you wanted to have him at the top of a 1-3-1 zone or a 1-2-2 zone, he's the perfect guy to do so. He's perfect in switching off of a screen and roll because his long arms allows him to defend multiple size players. And I think he does have good defensive instincts. He's got great footwork. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say great. Really, really good footwork in my opinion, both offensively and defensively. You know, he's really slick. You know, he'll get his hands in the passing lanes because of those long arms, and offensive players don't even realize that he's there. So that's a tough blow for Cam Reddish and for the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get to a phone call. We're going to get to a couple of other things. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please, and make sure you turn that down in the back.
Yeah, I just muted it. Tricky Nicky.
Tricky Nicky, what's going on with
Michigan.
you, brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I feel bad for Cam, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah, but a shoulder injury isn't, you know, something severe that we got to worry about for next year anyways. But as far as Mitchell Robinson, like, my take on him is you got to give that guy that money.
Mm-hmm.
He is rebounding. His offensive boards are key to a lot of our success. And the way the Knicks been playing lately, like, I don't think they would be on a 3-game, possibly a 4-game with that shot by Cam Johnson from Phoenix. Mitch, in my opinion, is the reason we're winning right now.
He's definitely part of the reason that the Knicks are winning. You know, his offensive rebounding. his ability to guard, in different spots, his putbacks, obviously, and his ability to stretch the floor vertically, adds to the offense as well. You know what I mean? So he's a big part of the reason that the Knicks are winning. There's no doubt about that at all. You know what I mean?
And if you look at it, like, he destroyed Ayton when we were in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at this West Coast trip, and I'm thinking we should be 4-0. And with Memphis, coming up, I don't see any reason why we can't beat them. We just ran through Dallas. We played the number 1 seed in the West in Phoenix. And
well, let's not forget
we
that
should have won that game, even though we didn't.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, Mitch played his A game, and he's a big reason why this Knicks team, and there's other players. Randle had his night. He had his night, and RJ is doing his thing, and RJ keeps it up. I love RJ, but Mitchell Robinson, in my opinion, you got to give him. How can he not be worth 12 to 13 million? You got to give him the max, in my opinion, because if you're going to sit there and pay Noel $10 million a year, or we got players we're paying, they ain't playing.
Well, the max extension
showed me somewhat healthy this year.
Well, look, the max extension that the Knicks can give him is like $55 million. Right, 4 years, $55 million. Now,
and I would do it.
Right, but if Mitchell Robinson doesn't want to accept that max extension, then he's going to bet on himself and go into free agency to see if he can make a little bit more than that max extension, right? Because that max extension, 4 years, $55 million is what? How much is
4 years divided by 55? You're looking at about $14 million a year.
Yeah, about 13.75.
You're looking at 13.5.
Yeah, somewhere around there, right? I guess the question is, do the Knicks want to pay that much? Because according to sources all over the place, Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks are not really close on contract extension talks, and what the value of his contract will be. So
how much more could he get somewhere else? So
I don't know.
See, the issue I have with it is with the cap going up. And who do we really got? At center that Mitch has shown me some effort lately. Like, right. I don't know, and I just get that Knicks vibe from him. The way he talks with Berman and everything. Like, I think he wants to be here. I just think Knicks need to give him what he wants, and he'll be here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If the Knicks give him what he wants, he'll be here. But that's the question: do the Knicks?
We don't have anybody else, though, Sim. Right? Who is our center? If he leaves.
If he leaves,
we got Sim.
Next year, you're gonna have
we
Noel.
We got Taj. We got Noel, who isn't around.
Right.
We have nobody really to replace him. So, in my eyes, I look at the guy. I look at him. He's 23, 24, and he's finally showing out a little bit, and I like it. I respect him. He plays hard. He works that offensive boards, and a lot of people don't like that he doesn't have a mid-range. But when you got RJ driving to the cup, and you got guys, like IQ lately, driving to the cup, and he's there to clean up their mess, that's huge for us. Huge.
No, there is no doubt. You're right. No doubt about that. That is huge for the Knicks. You know what I mean? It's really big for the Knicks when he's able to do that. But, we'll see what this brass is talking about and how they negotiate with Mitchell Robinson. This might be the first time that, you had Julius Randle. It didn't seem like that was too much of a negotiation. They seemed to come to terms pretty quickly with one another.
Yeah, he took that extension and he actually gave us a discount. That was nice of Randle.
Yeah, so now...
And I'm glad he's performing right now.
He's performing right now.
I'm liking that with Randle.
Yeah, he's performing right now. But this will be the first time that this brass has had to negotiate with really negotiate with a player. You know what I mean? Because like we said, they didn't have to do much with Julius Randle.
No, because Julius straight up, you knew he wanted to be here. Mitch took a lot of flack in the past couple of years with his injuries and such.
I mean, but the thing is with Julius Randle is, the amount of money that he was going to make. I think Julius Randle knew his worth. The Knicks knew his worth, and they came to an agreement. With Mitchell Robinson, it's just up in the air of how much his contract should be worth. That's what makes it tough. So we're going to see what this brass is made of, if they're able to really wheel and deal and come up with a solution that's fair for Mitch, because you want to be fair, right? You don't want to dog your players out and really lowball your players. You want to be fair so that your players feel comfortable and people around the league feel comfortable with negotiating with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so we'll see if they can do
my opinion, though, I think RJ, Cam Reddish, Randle, and Mitch, that's a good 4 to have.
Yeah.
You just got to find that point guard.
Yeah. Tricky, Nicky.
Find that point guard with those guys. And for Mitch to get paid $12, $13 million, that's not too much.
It's not. But
honestly, we're paying Rose $10 million.
Right.
And he's hurt. He's an old vet. And I love D Rose.
Right.
But if you look at it, you ain't going to find many centers around the league that has, especially as young as he is, that has the capability of what he does with the way he can block shots, alter shots, defend the ball. And I've noticed lately, he gained weight, but he's still running the floor. Yeah. He's running the floor.
Yeah, no
he
doubt.
Is trying to get back down on defense.
Tricky. Listen, it's all going to depend on what the Knicks want to do, and how much they're willing to give them. But let me let you go. All right. So, we have some other people calling.
Can I give one shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I give a shout out to Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio. He's a great guy. Thank you for everything you've done for me. Salute to Randle. I love Randle. I hate him at times. I'm a little bit like Spree, it's a love-hate relationship with Randle. But anyways, chat, hit those likes, subscribe. Make sure you hit that reminder bell button. We got 259 watching right now, 55 likes. Let's get those up. And thank you, Sam, for your time. I appreciate everything. Salute the staff, everybody on Nothing But Nets.
I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the call. Let's get to another phone call here. Looks like we got Ayub calling in. I know he's got something to say. I do want to bring across the screen, though. This is from Adrian Wojnarowski. New York Knicks forward Cam Reddish will miss the rest of the season with a right shoulder separation. Sources tell ESPN Reddish's recovery time is expected to be in the 6-week range. All right, so he'll be cleared for a full summer of work so that he can begin the 2022-2023 season on time. Again, man, my heart goes out to Cam Reddish, man. Really does. My heart goes out to Cam Reddish. Tough one. Let me get to a phone call here. Ayub, what's going on, man? Ayub, you there?
Can you hear me, Sam?
Yes, sir. What's popping with you?
Just nothing much, and I just called in to say, I had a change of heart,
Uh-oh.
At this point, winning is cool, I'm cool with winning at this point. Losing is cool. It's whatever at this point.
Okay, all right. Talk to me.
I just wanted to touch on the Julius Randle apologists, I've been seeing them.
Let me ask you this first.
Now.
Before you get into that, Cam Reddish, your thoughts on Cam Reddish being out for the remainder of the season?
Cam, it sucks because he was just starting to play good too, and then he was starting to show us his potential, and he just got injured on that play. It sucks, but I'm hoping we keep him. I don't know about you, but I'm hoping we keep him over the summer.
Yeah, I think we're gonna keep him. I don't think we have to worry about that. Listen, anything is possible, right? That's without a doubt. But I think the Knicks like Cam Reddish and are going to keep Cam Reddish. They want to see what he's got. They want to see what he can do. You know what I mean? And see what it looks like with him getting a full training camp. Since he's injured, he's going to have time to study that playbook.
Yes, and then we have to keep him. We have to give him like steady minutes. None of these. One night he gets 15, the other night he gets 5. We have to give him like a steady minutes every game.
Yeah. I think that'll happen next year, right? The Knicks will have a chance during the offseason, to clean up the roster just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And
get rid of these vets, man. Just get rid of some of them.
Yeah, and I think one of their priorities is definitely going to be to make sure there's some room for Cam Reddish to play. So anyway, go ahead. You wanted to say something about Julius Randle?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on him real quick. This guy, last year he played out of his mind, right? Because there was no expectations at all the whole season. No one expected us to be top 4. This season, there's pressure, there's expectations. He folds like the first half of the season, and then the second half of the season, all the fans are talking about tanking, because we all want to lose at this point. And now he wants to start playing good. But we're talking about a player that plays his best ball when there's no expectation. Like, that's just crazy to me. And these fans want to make all these excuses for him, but let's just accept the fact, man. He's a good player, but when the pressure's on, he folds every time.
But listen, maybe that just means he's not a number 1. Doesn't mean he can't be a contributor. We've been over this. We've been through this.
I know, but I just want to just bring it up because everybody's talking about him being the savior now, because it just blows my mind.
I mean, I think people realize he's not the savior of the team long term, but they like the way that he's playing right now and want him to continue to play like this. Nothing wrong with that, is it?
No, it's nothing wrong with that. I wanted to keep playing this way so we can get him up out of here. All right, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think he's going anywhere. That's my thought.
Oh my!
I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't.
So there's no way we trade him over this summer?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no way. Obviously, it's possible that he could be traded over the summer, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
Man, I don't know, man. Do you actually see the RJ and Randall thing working out in the future, or just we just have to stick with it right now?
I mean, the thing is, you're talking about the future, right? The future. There's a lot of things that can happen when you go into the future. And right now, there are 2 players that are trying to learn. They've played together for 3 seasons. RJ came in as a rookie, right? Julius Randle, came in, in his first year, and the kind of role that he came into as the New York Knicks. And they've been trying to grow and build ever since. Recently they've both been playing well together at the same time. And even more recently, it's began to turn into wins. You know what I'm saying? Things are a process. It's always a process out there. It's not just black and white. Bam, it's going to happen like that. Things got to grow sometimes. Hey, Ayub, I appreciate the call. Let me get my man Josh up on the screen. You know what I'm saying? We got Uncle Fulio here. Talk some stuff. Uncle Fulio, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Salute, Sam. Salute. Just got the news that baseball's coming back, so I'm excited about that. Go Mets. But I wanted to join in on the conversation in regards to Mitchell Robinson. I know you were, you got on the first thing you want to talk about was mention his upcoming extension, what have you. I just wanted to give my thoughts about that.
All right. Well, let me hear, what do you about Cam Reddish before we jump into that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's unfortunate for Cam Reddish. I mean, obviously we gave up a first-round pick to bring him in here. He just started to flourish and get his bearings a little bit. But I think next season, like I said, next season was going to be the real season for us to evaluate if Cam Reddish is going to get extended or not. As of right now, I mean, I can't say, positively that Cam Reddish is going to be extended on this team, right? So next season was always going to be, for me, was going to be the season for me to determine whether Cam Reddish is going to be a part of the long-term plans. And that's still the case, even with this injury. So unfortunate as of right now, but I think for next season, we'll really find out if Cam Reddish is going to be a part of this organization long-term.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what's your thought? Again, for those who may be just joining and haven't heard the news, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Cam Reddish will miss the rest of the season with a right shoulder separation. All right, Reddish's recovery timeline is expected to be in the 6-week range. He'll be clear for a full summer of work ahead of the 2022-2023 season. All right, so let's get to your thoughts on Mitch, and then we'll, start moving into, last night's game a little bit, and then start touching on some of the young guys, man. Well, I didn't mean to say it that way. Talk about some of the young guys. That sounds a little suspect, right? Start touching on some of the young guys. Jeez. Talk about some of the young guys and their production. All right.
Please, no one isolate that.
Please don't do that. Please don't clip that out. Don't do that. All right. Let's talk about Mitchell Robinson again.
Yeah, real quick, something. I know you already touched on it. I'm late to the party. I want to bring Mitchell Robinson back, right? And I think the Knicks do as well. We've heard the reports about the Knicks, at least having negotiations with Mitch, but they haven't been close on a number or what have you, right? We know that the maximum extension they can offer him, 4 years, $55 million. That comes out to about $13.75 million a season. Mitchell Robinson is worth that, in my opinion. I think that is a fair contract for him, right? To me, and I can't confirm nor deny this, to me, I feel like the Knicks attempted to give him that. To give him $13.75 million a season. If you look at what they gave Nerlens Noel, to me, Mitch is worth more than that. 13.75 is worth it for me, right? Second thing is they can go over the cap to sign him. So that it really doesn't have that many cap implications right now because they can go ahead and go over the cap and sign him anyway, right? Next season, you have a bunch of money that's coming off the books, so I think that will even itself out. To me, and I think what people are missing in this whole thing is, what if Mitchell Robinson doesn't even want to be here anymore? What if it's not? What if it's not about money? I mean, obviously he's going to wait for unrestricted free agency to see if he can get a little bit more money. But what if he doesn't want to play here anymore? You know what I'm saying? What if he wants to go see if he can go play in a different city or a different market and do something that way? I think people are not considering that part of it. And if the reports come out later that the Knicks, attempted to offer Mitchell Robinson a max contract and he said no, what does that tell you, right? Also,
let me ask you this though. What do you think has happened that would lead Mitch to not want to play here any longer?
I don't think it's anything specific, Sam. I don't think it's anything specific. I just think maybe he wants to try a different market. Maybe that. I'm just saying it's possible. I don't know exactly, if that's the case or not, but I'm saying it is possible. Players will leave cities all the time and leave their current situations all the time to go play in a new city, to go play in a new offense or something. I'm just saying that part needs to at least be considered amongst the Knicks fans, because what's going to happen is if Mitchell Robinson doesn't sign back here next season, the narrative is from a lot of the fan base is the front office let him walk. The front office did not do their due diligence in going out to sign Mitchell Robinson. And that part I'm less likely to believe. I think they want Mitchell Robinson to come back here next season. Based on the max contract numbers, he is worth that money, in my opinion. I think he's worth that money based on they gave Nerlens Noel. It just doesn't make any sense for the front office to let Mitchell Robinson walk out the door without doing everything they can to sign him. And if Mitchell Robinson wants to go make more money, I'm talking $16, $17 million a season, I think the front office might be hesitant in that regard. But $13.75 million for Mitchell Robinson is a perfect contract for him. And I think the front office, I'm optimistic that the front office are doing everything they can to get him back here next season. So I just want to point that out, Sam.
Yeah. Man, 17, 18 million. I'm not sure I'm going that high for Mitch. I don't think I'm going that high for him. 13.75. Oh, okay, I'm cool. I don't know if I'm going 17, 18 million dollars for Mitch. You know what I'm saying? It'd be taking a chance. It'd be taking a big chance that he's going to live up to that contract, within that time. He'd be taking a huge chance. Now, I think something that maybe the Knicks could do, and I don't know if Mitchell Robinson is even willing to do this, but maybe make it a shorter contract. Give him a chance to, prove himself some more. Say, hey, you know what? We're going to give you, because of this, this, and this, we'll give you $15 million for 2 seasons. Right? And we'll have a team option for the 3rd season. This way, okay, we're kind of cutting in between. Give you a chance to prove that you're worth, whatever it is that you're asking for. Give you a chance to prove it to us that you're worth blah, 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 blah. And then go on from there. I think that could be a good solution. So you're giving them a little bit more than $13.75, right? You're giving them 15. So now, I think you're showing at least a good, in good nature. You're like, we're going to give you a little bit more than we gave Nerlens Noel. All right. It puts you up there in your pay. I mean, from $1.8 million to 15, that's a pretty good pay raise. You know what I'm saying? And then we get a chance to see if you can stay healthy, if you can become consistent, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can also put some things in there if he makes an All-NBA defensive team, if he makes the All-Star team. You can put some things in there to help him boost his salary, to get it to where he wants to if he can reach certain plateaus and areas, So
yeah, Sam. And again, again, we don't know whether the front office, put that contract in front of him or put the max contract in front of him. All we know is that Mitchell Robinson, them and Mitchell Robinson are not on the same page as of right now, as far as negotiations, right? So we don't know what that means. But what we do know by those few words right there is that the Knicks want to bring him back. So the Knicks are coming to the table. The Knicks want to bring him back. He's the one that has to accept the contract. So far, he hasn't done so. So, I just want people to beware of this narrative that's going to happen if Mitchell Robinson walks, that the Knicks didn't do everything they can to bring him back, because I believe they're trying to bring him back. He's the one that has to sign the contract.
No, that's true. And it could be all negotiation tactics. Maybe he does want to come back and it's like, hey, but,
right.
I want to get paid too. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens there, ladies and gentlemen. Mitchell Robinson, the New York Knicks. I'm hoping he comes back. I want to see him back, but, we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about last night's win just a little bit, because we did get a chance to talk about it last night, right? The Knicks win their 3rd straight over the Dallas Mavericks. So now it's the next day. What's your thoughts, after having a chance to sleep on it, go to work, do whatever, hear people talk about it? What's your thoughts on last night's game and how, going forward from here?
Well, it just tells me that the team is still playing hard for Tibbs. I know a lot of fans want to see Tibbs gone and want to see him, with his head on a stake or what have you. But it shows that the players are still playing hard for him. Tibbs is still getting the most out of these guys, even this late in the season with the position that we're in. And I think they're going to make a legitimate run for the play-in. I don't know if it's going to, translate into wins, but I know that this team is going to keep fighting until, they're mathematically eliminated. And I think as a fan, that's all I'm asking for them to do. They played really well. We've seen some stretches of really good defense. And, of course, Dallas just missed a ton of shots. I mean, just a ton of shots. But the Knicks were able to knock in those opportunities. Immanuel Quickley, people are now starting to turn on Immanuel Quickley now. He's starting to become a little bit of a favorite. So he's still playing well. RJ's still taking that next step. And Randle is getting back to what we need him to do, getting to the basket, being a bully down there, not settling for crazy jump shots. And I think with that formula, the Knicks have a legitimate shot to at least make a run for the playing game.
Okay. I think for some players, not having so many guys in the rotation is helping them. Alec Burks, I think, is one of them. I think Immanuel Quickley is one of them. Obviously, with Deuce, he's getting playing time, and I've seen people complain, and we're going to talk about the kids. I've seen people complain that Deuce is stuck in a corner. He's not able to have the ball in his hands, so on and so forth. This might be perfect for Deuce right now, though. You know what I mean? let him get his feet wet in the NBA, high stakes basketball games. Let him get his feet wet. Immanuel Quickley is probably a little bit quicker. He's playing good basketball. He's able to get to the cup, let Deuce, get his touches out in the corner right now and play defense. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good spot for Deuce right now. But with the lack of players and the lack of depth, it's helping some players. But overall, if we don't start to get some guys back, is it going to hurt the team? Because our guys going to tire down, do you think? With playing in, the last few games have been blowout scenarios for the Knicks, right? But these games are going to get tighter. There's no doubt about that. The games are going to get tighter. And when the games get tighter, it wears on your body a little bit more. You got more stress on your body. If the Knicks don't start to get some bodies back, is it going to be too much if they don't get some bodies back soon?
Well, yeah. It's going to be too much at some point. The Knicks went through a period of games, even during the health and safety protocols, when we had all those bodies out. It's hard to win like that in the NBA, particularly if you're fighting for something. And Thibodeau, after the game last night, in the interview, he said that he likes what they're doing because they can be able to switch a lot. And before the last game, Cam Reddish was a piece that can switch a lot. You can switch him and RJ, and even before that, Grimes, a piece that you can use to have a switching type of defense. So I think Cam Reddish is going to hurt in that regard for sure. But I'm looking at the people who are not now going to be thrust into the rotation. Like, I don't know, we're talking about IQ, we're talking about McBride, and then you got Sims. Mm-hmm. And Todd's got the power forward. Who's going to be the backup three? Who's going to play that? Who's going to play that spot?
Yeah. That's true. Hopefully,
are we talking more minutes for RJ Barrett with the second unit?
Probably.
Are we talking that?
I'm thinking you're talking more minutes for RJ in that second unit. So you talk about RJ, getting 40 minutes a game, 42 minutes a game until Quentin Grimes comes back. Right, and the latest on.
And I think RJ Barrett is more than capable of handling that type of workload, particularly in this little stretch of a season that we're going through right now. I think he's up for the task and ready for that. But it still takes something out of you when you lose this many players. Eventually it's going to catch up to the Knicks. So hopefully we can stay healthy, knock on wood, for the rest of the season, or keep the health that we do have, and don't lose any more players.
Right. I think that. Grimes may be on the way back soon. The last report that I saw, he was going to begin contact or practicing on Tuesday, right? Possibly practicing on Tuesday. So he may be back sooner than later. So maybe it's just a couple more games that the Knicks have to go. And then, you start to get Grimes back. I don't know. Hamstrings can be tricky. I don't know about Obi when that's going to be. Because sooner or later, Taj Gibson is, he can come in and give you 4 or 5 really, really strong games, but sooner or later, he's older. He's going to need the rest.
Right.
So you'll need Obi to be out there to get out there. You know what I mean? We'll see. It's going to be when these games start to get tight, unless they just continue to blow everybody out. But when these games begin to get tight, that's when you're going to really see big minutes for RJ, Randle, all of those guys. You know what I'm saying? We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, and I think, come playoff time, the rotation is probably going to go down to 9 guys anyway, right? So I think this might be the moment where the Knicks are telling themselves in the locker room that this is their playoffs. This is what they're fighting for right now. It started early. It started before everyone else's playoffs started, because they're actually fighting for something. So, maybe Tibbs goes at it that way, as far as a motivational thing for the locker room, and let's see if we can be able to pull it out.
Yeah, this has to be considered the playoffs for the Knicks. You know what I mean? Because every game from now, if they're trying to get into that play-in, they're 3.5 games back. They do hold the tiebreaker over the Atlanta Hawks. They have 2 more games left with the Charlotte Hornets. They need to get those wins. You know what I mean? Like, every game has a lot of implications from now going forward for the New York Knicks, man. Every game has a lot of implications. Let me get to a super chat real quick. Ayub, he says, Fulio, Say it with me. Get Randle up out of here. Ayub. That's all I'm going to say. And then the Public Enemy, he said, here comes Kemba back for the 4th time. I don't think that's going to happen. It would look crazy. No. I don't think that's going to happen. You know what I mean? And like I said, I think Alec Burks, hopefully he's going to start playing a little bit better. He's already started playing a little bit better, you know, and hopefully because he's like settled in on a roll. He's been all over the place. So hopefully because he's settled in on a roll, you know, he can just focus, bam, straight up focus on that role there and not have to worry about, you know, I don't want to say worry, but not have to, you know, just prepare himself to go back to the bench or play shooting guard or anything like that. He can just focus in on the role that he has right now and what Tom Thibodeau's asking him to do. You know, because even though, you know, someone say, well, just go out there and play, it's still different. You know, when you're in certain positions, you're asked to do, asked to have certain assignments. So with him playing in the point guard spot, he's got certain assignments. When he's playing in the shooting guard spot, he might have different assignments. You know what I'm saying? So now he can just kind of focus in on, this is my assignment for the rest of the season. Hopefully that's going to help him to play a little bit better. So far, he's been playing well over the last few games. We'll see if that continues. The Knicks are going to need him to really play well. You know, but again, about that, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks win their 3rd straight, and the youth are playing a major role. You know, obviously R.J. Barrett. You know what R.J. Barrett's been doing. We've talked about it a ton. Mitchell Robinson is playing well. But then you got Deuce and you got Jericho Sims, who, you know, they've been able to really provide, I don't want to say a spark, but they've been able to provide some grit and some toughness, I think, that helped the Knicks out. You know, one thing that I think every team needs one or two of those guys that are going to get on the floor, right? They're going to take the tough defensive assignments. You know, they're going to burn their knees. They're going to get the loose balls. They're going to do those things. And R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, the guys that are meant to score a little bit more, don't have to worry about those things as much. Because you know you got some people that's going to be all over the floor doing it for you. And I think that goes a long way. You know, it helps to reserve some of the energy for R.J. Barrett so he don't have to guard Luka, you know, every single possession all night long. You can bring Deuce in and let Deuce handle Luka or guard Luka while R.J. goes to somebody that's, you know, doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. You know what I mean? So now that helps R.J. on the offensive side of the ball or helps him in rebounding because he has a little bit more energy. You know what I mean? Guys have to exert a lot of energy when you have to defend the best player and then also be the best player or be one of the primary scorers. That exerts a lot of energy. You know what I mean? So having those guys like Deuce and Jericho Sims, you know, that can go in there and be those glue type of guys, it helps. It just helps a lot. Obviously, you know, when we talk about Reggie Bullock and Elfrid Payton, that's kind of what they did, right? They were glue type of guys. They did some of the dirty work. Right now, Miles McBride, that's been his role, to do some of the dirty work out there. And it's something that the Knicks have been missing all season long. You know, Quentin Grimes kind of does both, you know, and so he's been out there to do it. I think from that point guard spot, they've been missing, you know, a guy that can go out there and do the dirty work, and he's providing some of that. What do you think? What do you think, Uncle Fulio?
Yeah. I mean, Tibbs, there's no question Tibbs misses Quentin Grimes out there on the floor because of what he can do. But I think the Knicks are, you know, a lot of these young guys are filling those roles, like you said, the Peyton, the Reggie Bullock role, go out there and just, you know, play really hard minutes. So I think that the Knicks are definitely reaping the benefits of that. But Sam, I want to ask you a question, and it's a hypothetical, right? Entire season, everyone was talking about how Tibbs doesn't know how to use his rotations. You know, there's a lot of guys who wasn't getting time and stuff like that. Could it be a possibility, in the realm of possibility, that Tibbs likes these shorter rotations and he can become a better coach or can manage his rotations better with the limited use of players that he has? Is that a possibility? Not having to worry about getting this guy playing time and getting that guy playing time. We've had guys hurt.
I can only speak from experience, from my experience. I can't speak from Thibodeau's experience or coaching in the NBA or anything like that. But from my experience, it is so much easier to manage a basketball game when you're only bringing in 8 or 9 guys. It really is. Because, when you start to get to 10, 11, first of all, guys, to get into rhythm need minutes, right? That's the first thing. Guys need minutes to get into rhythm. So the more minutes you can give guys, you hope that they can play better. Groups, like teams, lineups, need time on the floor together to play together, to play well together. When you start getting to 10, 10 is manageable. If you go deeper than 10, now, you're putting in lineups that haven't played a bunch together. You know what I'm saying? At 10, if you're going with an entire second unit, then you're hoping that, that second unit has played together, right? And they got some rhythm together. But, when you're at 8 guys that you're putting on the floor, those 8 guys get really comfortable playing with one another. You know what I mean? And it becomes easier for them to play, and it becomes easier for you to coach because you only got 3 guys that you're going to say, okay, I know he's coming in for RJ, he's coming in for Randle, he's coming in for Burks. And then I could bring Burks in for Fournier. Then I can bring, RJ in for whoever. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
And guys get comfortable with those rotations. They get comfortable with those lineups. And, it becomes easier to coach, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I'm sure there are coaches out there that enjoy having a lot of players so that they can play a certain style of basketball. If you're really playing an up-tempo style of basketball and you got guys, you're doing a lot of full-court trapping and running up and down, then you need a bunch of guys that can go out there and give you 5 strong minutes of pure effort.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so you need to go that deep in your bench.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, Sam. I think one thing we need to look out for with these short lineups is foul trouble. So, Mitch has to, really clamp down on defense without getting fouls. Same with Sims with the limited minutes the minutes that he's going to get. Because I think once we get into foul trouble, we're going to be pretty much screwed as far as having our best guys out there despite the injury. But if we can, I think Tibbs has been doing a much better job over the last 3 games of managing minutes and getting guys on the floor. And keeping the rotations real tight so guys can get used to each other. So I think that's pretty much what he's going to have to do for the rest of the season. If we don't get Grimes back or Cam's done for the season and Obi, I expect Tibbs to do that. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I think Grimes is going to come back, though. The report that I read yesterday is that he should be able to go back to practice on Tuesday and maybe be able to get back on the court, sometime after that. I guess, once he gets back into practice, then they'll reevaluate him, see how he's feeling, see if he can get back on the court. Turns out the injury wasn't as bad as some people thought it would be. So that's definitely a good thing. Obviously, until you get out there and you feel the stress of the court, the actual game, then, you know if you're really healed or not. Because the stress of the game, is a little bit different than just practice or scrimmaging and those type of things. So we'll see. We're definitely going to need them, But the kids, man, they're playing big. Deuce is playing big, with what he's doing defensively. RJ Barrett's been playing big. Mitchell Robinson, obviously, we were just talking about Mitchell Robinson. He's a young guy. He's playing big for the Knicks when he's out there on the floor. All right. He's playing big. And then you got Immanuel Quickley. Like, Immanuel Quickley's been playing real big for the New York Knicks, man, over the last few games. He is definitely surging right now. He's comfortable. I think he's one of the guys who's benefiting from not having, to look over his shoulder. Right? He's able to just play his basketball game because he knows if he makes mistakes, he's not getting pulled out that much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so he can just go out there and play his basketball game. Immanuel Quickley, ladies and gentlemen. Since the All-Star break, he's averaging 15.6 points per game, 5.4 rebounds a game, 3.3 assists. He's shooting 48.5% from the field, 41.2% from three, and 93.5% from the free throw line. You know what he's done? Everyone was always talking about how the Knicks missed Derrick Rose and his production off the bench. Obviously, Derrick Rose brings more than just, points. His leadership qualities and those things really do help this team out. But for a while, Immanuel Quickley wasn't giving you much. Right? Now with the rotations being short, guys being hurt, you really need Immanuel Quickley to give you something off the bench. And that's what he's doing. He's giving you that 15 points off the bench over the last, since the All-Star break. That's been like 6 games. And it's really been a boost to the Knicks. Really been a boost. You know what I mean? The Knicks are going to need him to continue to play this way. But I think he's doing more than just scoring. He's able to, he's able to get to the paint and spray the ball out. That's something that you hadn't seen from him. You didn't see it from him last year. This year, you're seeing it. He's getting to the paint. I think it's because he's staying on his feet, right? Normally, he would get into the paint and automatically try to get to that floater. He's staying on his feet a little bit more, which is allowing him to make the defense collapse, and then he can spray it out to open shooters, right? And we've seen multiple guys benefit. Cam Reddish, one of them. Another reason why I really hate that Cam Reddish is down, because him and Immanuel Quickley seem to be building a little bit of chemistry together. But, he's been able to spray it out to Cam, spray it out to RJ, spray it out to Julius, right? Spray it out to Alec Burks. And these guys knock down shots. What's your thoughts, man? Quickly.
Well, and this is what I was saying before about Quickley. We just got to give him some time. This is a 22-year-old kid still trying to, figure things out. I know he kind of regressed a little bit from last season, but this is all of the ups and downs of playing the kids, which everyone wants to do, right? So I always felt comfortable with Quickley. I know sometimes he's going to make some boneheaded decisions, boneheaded plays, but that's all a part of the process. And right now he's playing extremely well. He's knocking down his shots. I think that's always a big help when you're knocking down your shots. You feel like you can, start to do some other things. So hopefully he can continue to do that. I like the fact that he's getting to the free throw line a little bit more. Drawing those fouls, I think that's really, really important. Draw some attention away from the other guys on the 3-point line. And, his free throw shooting, I mean, he's one of the best free throw shooters in the NBA. I think second in NBA percentage or something like that. So I want to see him try to get to the line a little bit more. Anytime there's a technical foul on the other team, I want to see him shooting the free throw because he's the best free throw shooter on the team, right? And those, some of those little things. So I'm really happy with the way Quickley's been playing right now. Hopefully during this stretch of games, we talk about RJ and this process helping RJ. I want to see this process also help Quickley as well, as the team is actually going to need him to make this playing run.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to read a couple of super chats and, get your thoughts on these super chats here. One is from Jay. And he says, let me get this coming across the screen. There we go. He says, hopefully Tibbs does continue distributing playing time and not revert to his old ways. Wins are generating now. Definition of insanity again. I think this goes back to shortening the lineup, though. Right? If you shorten the lineup, what'd you say?
So he ain't got no choice.
Yeah, he don't have a choice now. You don't have a choice now. But if that lineup is a little bit shorter, and you don't have to worry about playing this guy or that guy, then it's like, all right, I got my guys that's going to play 30 minutes a game. I got 8-9 guys that's going to play 30 minutes. I think the problem comes in when all these guys come back, then you got to figure out what to do. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say, for example, right, the Knicks remain in contention for the play-in, and Obi comes back, but Obi's not producing, and Taj is producing. Then it's going to be like, well, why are you playing Taj and not Obi? Obi's the one that needs to be on the floor learning and developing. You know what I mean? Then what? because I want to battle for the play-in. And if any player is not giving you production, then they don't need to be on the floor. That's how I am.
Yeah.
Then they don't need to be on the floor. So that's where it starts to get dicey, when it comes to the playing time. Because obviously Tom Thibodeau is looking to win and get into the play-in, and so are the players.
Yep.
I am Jarrell. He said, so do y'all really think Tibbs adjusting is possible? Listen, I think everyone's going to have their philosophy and their style of basketball play, and if you have a track record like Tibbs, he's probably going to stick to his philosophy and his style of basketball play until he gets evidence that it doesn't work, right? And to Tibbs, evidence is not this season. Evidence is going to be, let's take a look. Let's see what happens at the end of the season. Let's see where we are at the end of the season, right? I think for Tibbs, it's going to take multiple seasons of things just not working for him to say, this ain't it. I got to do something else. You know what I mean? Obviously, last season, it worked. This season, things aren't working. But let's say for somehow the Knicks go on a run and end up 500. And it's probably a long shot. I'm just saying, hypothetically, then he'll look and say, okay, you know what? It worked during the end of the season. It worked in the second half of the season. I don't know. So, Jarrell, I want to ask this, I guess. What kind of adjusting are you talking about? Are you talking about game time adjustments? Are you talking about, playing more to young kids? Are you talking about, having longer or shorter lineups? What kind of adjustments are you saying when you say, is Tibbs adjusting possible?
Sam, I think Tibbs has made some adjustments, but fans, I don't know, fans are kind of all over the place with this whole adjustment thing, right? You've seen it, the game plan changed, right? He mentioned it last night. They're starting to switch a little bit more. That's a defensive adjustment that I never thought Tibbs was ever going to make, right? Tibbs was always straight up, play your man, fight over screen, stuff like that. Now he's starting to do a little bit more switching, right? So that's a form of adjustment. If you're talking about playing the kids, I don't want to talk about that because we all know the kids have been playing, right? Cam Reddish has been getting some time before his injury, coming off the bench, right? So to me, this whole thing with Tibbs adjusting, I understand that sometimes the rotations can get kind of crazy. Why is this player playing that amount of minutes and that player is playing that amount of minutes? But Tibbs, to me, has the ability to adjust to things. I just think fans need to be a little bit patient with it. Everything that Tibbs is doing that people don't like is what got him Coach of the Year last year, and that's what got the team winning last year, right? And has Tibbs been a winning coach for the majority of his career? Right. So I just think fans need to be a little bit patient with that. I think, stuff will come. I don't think if Tibbs would have made certain adjustments here and there that the outcome would have been different. Maybe in-game adjustments, some he can tweak a little bit more. How to manage, the game towards the end of games because we lost a lot of close games. But from game to game, I feel like Tibbs has been, making different adjustments and stuff like that. And we just got to see and be patient with it.
Yeah. Let me get you a phone call here. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Oh, what's up, Sims? My name is Rapper A-Stone. I'm all through your comments, man.
I appreciate you, man. What's going on, man?
Yeah, ready. I've been subscribed since day one. I just changed my YouTube name. It was Westside A-Stacks. But
okay.
Long story short, though, I just want to say, I hear people all year blaming a coach and Julius Randle. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. It ain't Julius Randle or the coach fault while we losing this shit. The coach have a strategy, and that strategy worked for us last year.
Mm-hmm.
You understand where I'm going at? That strategy worked for us last year. With worse personnel we had on the team, we actually upgraded the team this year in certain people's standards. You could call it what you want. Some people still feel like Alfred Payton is better than Kemba, which is crazy. But it's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, it's not Coach's fault. And I just want to say Coach is not the one out there getting demolished. It's not even like even though we on a 3, I'm not talking about prior to now, I'm talking about the losing before.
Right.
We letting Cam Johnson score 38 and game-winning shots. That's not the coach. Don't got nothing to do with that. That's all on the play and how much you're willing to stop your matchup each and every given night. And this is why R.J. Barrett is shining the way he's shining, because he's really one of the only few, and Mitchell Robinson, those two, is showing up and trying to dominate their players each and every night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of responsibility to go around, right? You know, obviously the players on the floor, they got to get it done. There's no doubt about that. The players got to get it done. If you have a matchup that you can win, you should win your matchup. If you're facing off against somebody who's a superstar, make it tough for them. Be on your defensive rotations. Do your job. Whatever your role is, be a star in your role.
Fact.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the players got to do that. But, you know, every coach is going to make mistakes, right? That's why I can't just blame Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau's made some mistakes this year, just like anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not the worst coach in the NBA, as people trying to make him seem like. But that's neither.
Right.
And you know what? You know what happens? I say it all the time. We see Tom Thibodeau every single night. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we see if he makes a mistake, if he makes a rotation mistake, or if he plays this guy too long or that guy too long. We don't see it when other coaches do it. All we see is what the results are.
Yeah, and that's why that's why I still try to defend that last bit of Knicks I got left in me, because if you going on through these fans through, they will not make you like this team. And I'm like, this is not really a bad. It's just like this team is our first time together. That's number 1, 2 as well. Like Fournier and the Kippers and all of that. These people before they got to this team was also on some loser team before they got to Boston. You understand what I'm saying, Sims?
Yeah. I get it. I understand exactly what you're saying, man. And this is the reason why I think the Knicks will definitely give him another season, at least another season, to see if they can turn things around.
No, you're for real. I just want to say, people was just saying, we need to trade Julius, right? And I'm like, if we trade Julius, how much worse do you think we possibly going to be? Just think about that. If we trade Julius, you don't think we're going to be not even a playing team. We're going to be playing for draft picks for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that want to trade Julius, that's what they want to do, though, right? They want to break it down and get into the draft. That's what they want to do.
But if you, us knowing us, right? When has the draft ever been good to us?
You know, the draft has not worked for the New York Knicks. You know what? I don't know if it was, I seen something Uncle Fulio tweeted. I seen some other people who tweeted some things, you know, and you know, we're talking to the people who want to tank, right? And
that's crazy.
And, you know, people are saying, oh, we got to get this top 5 pick. We need a top 5 pick. We need a top 5 pick. And still, it comes down to who you are going to draft, scouting and drafting, right? Because in the past.
And not only that, think about that. We get a top 5 pick, right? He's not going to start right away.
I mean, might not.
It's too much bets on the team.
Right, may not. But look, it still comes down to who you're going to draft. You know, the Knicks had a chance to have Mikal Bridges or the other Bridges guy. They drafted Kevin Knox. And I'm not, I can't even sit here and act like, you know, during that draft, I wasn't like, okay, cool, I'm down with Kevin Knox. I was.
You know, Kevin Knox did have a good college career. If you follow his college career, he did have a good college career. Yeah. You see why.
You know,
but my thing was,
the Knicks had a chance.
Tyrese Halliburton, though. That was on me. When they didn't take Tyrese Halliburton and went with another power forward, that's when I knew it was going to be downhill from there. And nobody didn't want to talk about it then. I was the only one saying it. Like, if we're going to go downhill, we ain't take Tyrese Halliburton. One of the best point guards in his draft. Okay. And it showed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's another one. The Knicks had an opportunity. The Knicks had an opportunity for Donovan Mitchell. They chose Frank Ntilikina, and these aren't.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I don't even.
These aren't top 5. You know what I'm saying? These aren't even top 5 picks that they had, right? This is the ability to drop, to draft in the top 10. So you know, it's about scouting and drafting, not just about getting those top 5 picks. It's about scouting and drafting. But hey, my man, I appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah. Keep doing you. You know, I'm always keep showing the love. Yo, hit that like button too, chat. It's 365 people in here. There's only 121 likes. Hit that up there.
Let's get it. Appreciate you, my man. Appreciate it.
You got to tell you that. Have a good one.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of anything that drops from NBK. As a matter of fact, at 8 o'clock tonight, The NBA reports coming on. Ron and John's going to be breaking down that play-in game, and what it looks like. The Knicks are still in the mix, ladies and gentlemen. They've won 3 in a row. They are still in the mix and have a chance to get into the play-in. And I'm pretty sure when they're looking at it, they're saying, we can smell it right now. And it makes that Memphis game really important, Josh. You know what I'm saying? Because you got that imaginary line out there that, that 10th. The Knicks are 10 games below 500. If you can get it to single digits, now all of a sudden they feel, okay, we're doing something now. We can, let's get it to 8 games below 500, 7, 6, et cetera, et cetera. The Memphis Grizzlies, though, they're tough. Right now, you can basically say second best team in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Second best team in the NBA. They're killing it. How do you feel about the Knicks matchup versus the Memphis Grizzlies? When is it? Tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, as, again, like you said, one of the best teams in the NBA right now. They're playing really well. They got a young, budding superstar, if not already superstar, point guard in Ja Morant. So we got to be able to slow him down. And Jaren Jackson is also another player that I forgot to even talk about. Jaren Jackson, had a really good game last time we played him. And Randle did too, but, Jaren Jackson kind of won that matchup. So we got to be able to stop him. Then their shooters, Bane, obviously, Williams. They got some guys who can ball. They got some guys who can flat out ball. So, hopefully we can be able to just give them the best we got, knock our shots down and give ourselves a chance. And, limit fast break opportunities. Ja wants to get out in fast break, him and Williams. And then Steven Adams, another big piece that we got to be able to limit off the boards. Mitchell Robinson, talk all we want about what we're going to pay Mitchell Robinson. Tomorrow's another game where he has to be able to show up and dominate the glass. It's going to be a tough task, but.
Right. It's going to be a tough task. Right now, the Atlanta Hawks, they're a team that's above us. They're in the 10th spot, right? Their next game is versus the Los Angeles Clippers. There's a chance that the Hawks could lose that game. The Hawks are at home. The Clippers could win. Either team could win that game, right? The Clippers are 35-33. The Hawks are 31-34. Then they play the Indiana Pacers. They play the Portland Trail Blazers. 2 games you think that they should win. They play the Charlotte Hornets. Either one of those teams lose is good for the Knicks. They play the Memphis Grizzlies. They play the Pelicans. We play them on the 22nd, right? So the Knicks definitely need to get that win. To round out the month, they play Detroit. They play Golden State. So their schedule is not that tough to round out this month. You know what I mean? Hopefully they hit a slide and just I don't know, somehow, some way start losing basketball games. But it's not like they got a super tough schedule. The Washington Wizards, they're above the New York Knicks. They lost to the Clippers last night. They play the Lakers on the 11th. The Lakers are another team that's reeling. They're 28-37 on the season. They play the Portland Trail Blazers, Golden State, Denver. We play them on March 18th. The Knicks need to get that win. It's at home. The Knicks need to win that. They play the Lakers again on March 21st. Where am I at? March 21st, they play Houston. They play Milwaukee the 24th. They play Detroit on the 25th. Again, kind of a light schedule for the Washington Wizards. And, that's just for March. Right? Another team, let's look at the Charlotte Hornets. I'm not going to go all the way up to the Brooklyn Nets, but the Hornets, they lost to Boston last night.
Yep.
Right? They play the Pelicans tomorrow. Then they play OKC. They play Atlanta on the 16th. They play Dallas on the 19th. That's a home game. Atlanta's also a home game. Then they play the Pelicans at home again. Then on the 23rd, the Knicks play against Charlotte. Right? That's going to be a chance.
I'll be there.
You're going to be there. Hopefully you're the good luck charm. That's going to be a chance for the Knicks if the Knicks can keep winning games or keep pace with the Hawks, Charlotte, and Washington. When they play them, they got a chance to gain some ground. So they got to get those wins, right? Then on the 25th, Charlotte plays Utah. They play Brooklyn on the 27th, and they play Denver on the 28th. So they have a little bit of a tougher schedule. You know, but when the Knicks play against these teams, they really want to have a chance to get into the play-in, then they've got to take care of business when they play Washington, Charlotte, Atlanta. Obviously, they got to beat everybody else, but they got to beat those guys when they play them. I'm saying they got to beat them.
No question about that.
Yeah. Jarrell answered me back. I want to see what he said. He said, I'm talking longer or shorter lineups and in-game adjustments in general. Him not being able to make these adjustments has been everyone's gripe with him. I think he does have the ability to make, adjustments because, in-game adjustments, longer, shorter lineups, whatever it is. Because as a coach, you make a mistake, you hope not to make it again, when you talk about different types of adjustments. And I'm not just talking about minute distribution. That's what I think most people look at, the minutes distribution and consider that to be adjustments. Taking this guy out if he's not shooting well or whatever. That's not the only way to adjust, right? There are adjustments that go on in the game that most fans don't even notice. You know what I'm saying? Little adjustments that happen that sometimes Tom Thibodeau may not even know that an adjustment took place. One of the assistant coaches told one of the players to defend somebody this way or that way or position your feet this way or that way. You know what I mean?
Exit pick and roll, go underneath the screen.
Yeah, under the screen, over the screen, things like that. There's so many things like that, that fans may not even notice when you're talking about adjustments. But, some of those general adjustments that you're talking about, now, I do think he has the ability to do that. You know what I'm saying? Right now, people are going to say, well, he's going with the youth because he has to. But guess what? Now that he has to, correct, he has to. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes this is what it takes for a coach to recognize that, hey, this guy is bringing something that I didn't have. And so I need Deuce out there on the floor because he's bringing something. Now I want to see what Deuce and McBride, Deuce and Grimes look like together out there on the floor at the 1 and the 2. You know what I'm saying? And what kind of defensive pressure that brings. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it takes that for it to happen. And when guys start coming back, then he's got to make the decision. So, that's why he gets paid the big bucks, because he's got to make tough decisions out there. You know what I mean?
Yep. And the coaching philosophy from day one is that you have to be ready and you have to stay ready. Right? You have to be ready and you have to stay ready. That's what Tibbs has been preaching since the beginning of the season. And I think these kids have been listening to that, right? Because look at them. They're now contributing to some good basketball right now. So, fans are very impatient. They want to see it now, microwave era, minute grits and all that. But sometimes it takes this type of stuff to happen. And time eventually will work itself out when it comes to these kinds of things. So yeah. I'm a little bit more patient with the process than a lot of people are.
Yeah. Josh, you eat minute grits?
No, I don't. I'm old school. I do. Yeah, I keep them on the stove for,
those are
for a long
nasty.
time.
Those are pretty nasty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are pretty nasty. Terrible. I always go back. You seen the movie My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah.
I always go back and think about that. Just that little area where he's like, "You mean to tell me water soaks into your grits in 5 minutes when it takes the rest of the Greek-eating world 20 minutes? That joint is hilarious. Hilarious. But ladies and gentlemen.
Cook on the stove a little bit.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. Oh, got another super chat. Let me get to this first. Eddie, he says, Simon Fulio, who is your comparison for Deuce? What player does he remind you of? Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Eddie. That's a good question.
I haven't really thought about it.
I think I need to see him play more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I need to see him play more. Off the bat, though, I'm not going to say that he's him, but I think he could be a Marcus Smart type of guy. I think he could be a Marcus Smart type of guy. Going higher than that, maybe Kyle Lowry. Going higher than Marcus Smart. You know what I mean? Obviously with Kyle Lowry, I think he'd have to get. I haven't seen him do yet is really break down the defense and get to the cup. And Kyle Lowry can do that sometimes. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him see if he's able to do it. I'm not saying that he can't. He just hasn't had the opportunity with this team. So I guess, someone like that, a tough guy, a tough-minded guy who could play some defense, who I think in the future is going to be able to hit some big shots. And I think he will be a guy, like he's 21 years old. So to ask him to come in and be the leader of the team right now is a lot, but I think he will be a guy that can eventually be a facilitator type, a general, a floor general out there on the floor. And get it done that way. It might take a few years for him to get there. You know what I mean? But I do think he can be that kind of guy. It took Kyle Lowry a couple years to get there. Chauncey Billups took a couple years to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What you about to say?
Yeah, I like the Lowry analogy. I want to see Deuce use a little bit more of his mid-range. And that's the reason why I like Jalen Brunson so much, because I know his mid-range game is just there. And I've seen that in college, coming out of college. Miles McBride had really good mid-range, mid-range jumper, can get to that area of the floor and be able to break down defense and see the floor a little bit. So I want to see him try to employ a little bit more of that. I think I compare his skill set to what Jalen Brunson is right now. And on a higher level, I think Kyle Lowry and, Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you.
And Still Dre said Drew Holiday. I could see that too. So, all of those guys are kind of the same type of a player, right? When you talk about Jalen Brunson, Kyle Lowry, Drew Holiday, those type of guys.
Crafty.
Yep. Crafty, tough, those kind of guys, I think, is what he's going to be in the NBA as he keeps going. So I'm looking forward to watching his development, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. Make sure you join me tomorrow for the game preview. All right. I should be on the game preview about 3:30 tomorrow. The Knicks play. What time is the game tomorrow? 8 o'clock? I think the game is probably 8 o'clock tomorrow. It's in Memphis, so I think it's probably 8 o'clock. All right, so make sure you check on the game. And, of course, I'll be on for the game is at 8 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be on the post-game show. All right, so I look forward to seeing you all. I appreciate your time. Be peaceful. Spread love. And, we out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Oh, don't forget, 8 o'clock, the NBA report, Ron and John, they're going to break down some things as it pertains to the play-in, ladies and gentlemen. As a matter of fact, when you close this out, it's going to take you over there to that video. Make sure you go there. Turn on your notifications for it when you go there. All right? So that you'll be all ready to go when 8 o'clock comes around. All right? I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.